Hey everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make camping supplies for your stuffed animals. Quite a few people have been requesting this, so let's get started. I'm going to start by making the sleeping bag, and you could always make temporary sleeping bags with blankets or pillowcases, but today I'm going to go full out and sew this one. And I already happen to have a huge amount of fleece that I could use, so I have this elephant nighttime one and this more winter themed one, and at first I was going to use both of them, but realized it would probably look better just with one fabric, and the elephants are sleeping, it's a sleeping bag, it's just perfect. I didn't end up making a pattern for this since they're just so huge, but I'll just tell you the first piece I cut out was a 20-inch by 14-inch wide rectangle, and luckily I had this giant ruler to help me with that, and I'll be needing 2 of these pieces. And then for the third piece, this one isn't going to be as long, so this one is 14 inches wide by only 16 inches tall. This can be really easily made for any size stuffed animal though, just measure how tall they are and how wide it needs to be. This ended up being a little bit big for my Build-A-Bear, but Coco, the bunny I always use, is a pretty small Build-A-Bear. Once all the pieces are cut out, I'm going to take the smallest piece and work on that. And the first thing I'm going to do is fold that top edge just a little bit, and then down about 2 inches. So there shouldn't be any raw edges sticking out. And then I can pin that down along the entire width. I didn't cut this very straight though, so it was at an angle and I had to keep redoing this. But after I've sewn a straight stitch across there, I can bring in the other pieces. And now I need to layer these together in a specific order, so the first one being one of the big pieces with the good side facing up, then the smaller piece good side facing down, so that side with the fold. And you want to make sure the bottom edges are aligned for this. And then finally, the second big piece, good side facing down. Now I'm going to sew around the entire perimeter of this rectangle, leaving a little space at the top. Unfortunately, where I'm pointing isn't in the frame, but I left probably about half of that top edge open. So here's how it should look. I left probably a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the entire thing. And now I can turn this inside out through the hole I left. After that, the last thing to do is close up that opening, so I'm kind of folding those edges in and pinning it closed. After sewing where I've pinned, this sleeping bag is pretty much done, so I'm going to tuck my stuffed animal in to see how it looks. And if you like these pajamas, I have a YouTube video on how to make these, and I'll be teaching a Creative Fabrica class on this for a more in-depth tutorial. You can probably use this with or without a pillow, but I hadn't made the pillow yet, so that's why this footage doesn't have it. But here it comes. I just made a basic long pillow for this. I'm pretty sure I showed how to make pillows in my how to make a bed video, so I'll link that down below. But I'm going to roll it up now so it's ready to go for the campsite. And I'm going to keep it simple by using this kind of stretched out scrunchie to hold this in place, or you could tie some string around it and maybe even turn them into straps. The next thing I'm going to make is a tent. And coming up with ideas for this was a little bit tricky because the sleeping bag I made was really big, so the tent would have to be pretty large to fit that, so I had to move to a different location to show you. But this one I'm keeping really simple. I have this large piece of cardboard that was basically the side of a box, and it's about 30 inches by 20 inches. And you basically want to just fold it in half and flip it so it looks like a triangle. And this is pretty much the frame of the tent, but to prevent the sides from sliding, I grabbed some rocks from outside to hold it in the position I wanted it to be in. And you could also set this up outside and add like more rocks to make it cool looking, but I just wanted to do it inside, so I grabbed 2 large rocks. And to cover the outside, you could always glue on some fabric to make it more permanent, but I wanted something I could easily take apart, so I'm going to be using t-shirts. And for the front, you'll need a pretty big one, so I'm using my dad's and draping it across the front. And it's kind of hard to tell in this shot, but I'm trying to arrange the shirt so it kind of drapes down in 2 triangles in the front and there's like a line in the middle. It's hard to explain, but hopefully you can see it in the later shots. And for the rest of the exposed cardboard, I'm just draping on more shirts the same color. And I didn't end up covering the back since I wanted to just be able to flip it around to have an open tent. So here I just turned it around to have it open, and now I'm going to test it to make sure the sleeping bag will fit. Jerry was the model for this one for some reason, but he fit perfectly. And it obviously only fits one stuffed animal, so if you want to fit more, you'd have to make it bigger. But that is my quick and easy stuffed animal tent. The first thing I'm going to do is take a yellow piece of construction paper and sketch out a fire shape. I'm doing 2 kind of smaller flames on the side and 1 big one in the middle, and I want the entire thing to be pretty wide. Then I can cut this out. Now I'm going to take an orange piece of paper and pretty much do the same shape but smaller. This does take some time to cut out though, so you could always just draw the shape on the yellow piece directly. Now I can glue these 2 pieces together to make the little paper fire. Now to turn this 3D, I made a second one, and I'm going to connect them at the sides using tape to form kind of a cylinder shape. Now it's just missing the logs it should be burning, so I went outside and grabbed some sticks from my backyard. A few of these were actually just rolled up pieces of bark, but they looked really good, so I got them. And I also gave them a little rinse to get the excess dirt off, and that's why they're on this paper towel drying. And to set this up, it's really nothing fancy. I kind of just piled them together, but left an opening in the center for the paper fire. And I know from the top it doesn't look that great, but here's what it looks like from the side. Now, if you want to go the extra step and make this light up in the dark, you could add one of those LED tea candle lights in the center of this. Definitely not a real candle though, but since I didn't have one of those, I just used the flashlight setting on an iPhone, and that does work really well, but there is that giant phone that's still sticking out. You could always just drape a little blanket over to cover it up. But now I'm going to surround the paper with the sticks again, and here is how it should look with the light. It does look better in the dark though, so stick around for some clips of that. And now, as a bonus craft, I'm going to make some marshmallows to toast over the fire. For the stick, I'm using a bamboo skewer that happened to be the perfect size already. And for the marshmallow, I was first just thinking of using a cotton ball, but I didn't have any. So instead, I'm taking a few squares of toilet paper that I've already kind of ripped in half lengthwise, and I'm folding it twice so it's about the height I want the marshmallow to be. And now I can just wrap this around the end of the skewer. Also, hopefully this isn't gross to say, but at least if the stuffed animals run out of toilet paper on their trip, they have this. Look, I know someone out there was probably thinking it. Once it's starting to look like a normal marshmallow, I'm going to just use some tape to secure the end. And now I'm squishing it together to kind of hide that roll at the top. Now we have an untoasted marshmallow, but I'm going to make this toasted by brushing on some chalk pastels. You could probably just use normal chalk or makeup. And this first orangey tan color I chose was the perfect color for that golden brown. But I feel like my marshmallows never come out that great, so I added a little bit of black for that burnt look. Here is how it looks when it's done, and now it's finally time to put the campsite together. I already have my tent set up from before, and I'm going to lay the sleeping bag off to the side so they can do a little stargazing first. And then I can set up the campfire and add whoever wants to roast their marshmallow first. And that is pretty much it for how to make camping supplies for your stuffed animal. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, comment any video suggestions you have, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Bye!